So many parents are struggling with their kids going back into the classroom. Their kids themselves are struggling, trying to get back into the groove. So we asked Dr. Tere Linzey, who is an educational psychologist, to come in and talk about what we should do with our kids. And is it true, doctor, that they are struggling?
They definitely are struggling. They're struggling in many ways. So they're struggling with things like processing speed and attention and executive functioning. And then they're also struggling socially to re-engage.
What does that do with I mean, I get that, we were all forced to kind of go retreat into our homes and live in a Zoom world, right? But for children, even small kids all the way up to high school age, how does that impact their learning and their brains?
Well, I've been doing a lot of testing during this COVID time, and what I'm noticing is that their visual processing speed is slower. And what that means is their ability to take in visual information, whether that's with their peers or whether that's reading, that is slowed down. Their ability to attend to something, pay attention to something is really limited. And so, I think that all of these things are impacting them, and now they're trying to go back and start to re-engage in school, and it's all kind of hitting them at one time.
Right. So what can parents do? I mean, are these noticeable changes that parents recognize, or is it sometimes kind of underlying things that you might not know until it's too late?
Well, again, what might be recognizable for me might not be so much for parents. So let's say they used to enjoy reading and now suddenly they won't read. Or let's say they've never really read or enjoyed it, but now they just no, absolutely not. I won't read. Okay. Some kids are doing that. And then other things are taking forever to get their homework in, or if they can't get their words onto paper, if they're not turning in their homework on time, that's executive functioning. So any of those things. And then of course, with the mental health piece, if they start to isolate themselves, if the things they used to really enjoy, suddenly they don't enjoy anymore. Those are all things that parents need to pay attention to, whether it's a brain, cognitive skill, or whether it's a mental health issue.
This is fixable, right? Like, this isn't like all hope is lost. Like this is fixable. Parents can address these issues if any one of those things is happening with their child.
They absolutely can. And right now, a lot of schools are going back and kids are just doing their best to try to re-engage socially. But this summer is the ideal time for parents to intervene so that they get them a booster and they can jumpstart them for the fall. So whether it's a reading program or brain labs in the summer, any kind of mental health, maybe a mental health provider this summer to help them get some strategies. The summer is the prime time to intervene with that.
I mean, we all suffered through this, but my question is what is it about Zoom and taking a kid out of the school environment that festers these problems? What is it about the disconnection? Is it simply the disconnection? Is it that they're no longer in the structure of a classroom? What is it that causes this?
Well, everything in the brain is practice. So what you practice, you get better at, okay? Or what you practice is what you hardwire.
Right.
So it's very difficult on a screen to practice certain things. And it's especially attention, right? You're trying to pay attention and you're in a Zoom for an hour and things are happening around you. So if you're not practicing those things, then you're not going to get better at them, just like an athlete in the off season, right? And so that's the piece for the screen time. We've known for a while that too much screen time is not good for our kids. The social part, and the unfamiliar and the anxiety piece, they all play into the mental health issues. And that's where you're looking at kids who haven't been able to be social, they haven't been able to be in sports, They're fearful of the unknown. What's the world going to look like now? All of those kinds of things are coming into play. So it's all hitting our kids at one time.
Yeah, it's so, when you put it that way, that makes a lot of sense, that they're not, because when you sit in a classroom, you're not just sitting in the classroom learning. You're sitting in the classroom, you're also telling yourself you have to behave. You're also telling yourself you have to listen to the teacher. You're also, some kids zone out, but they're doing multiple things. But as you're talking about, they're using that executive part of their brain as well as the learning function of their brain, and removing them out of that environment becomes problematic.
It's harder, and the teacher's not there to pat you on the back or walk over to your desk and take a look at something and help.
Right.
I mean, all of those humanistic things are not there.
So so obviously, like you said, the summer is the kind of crucial time for parents. If they notice that their kid is struggling with reading, put them in a reading program. If they're struggling with math, help them out with some sort of math program. I would assume that's the best thing. And then, do you think the summertime is enough to do any kind of rehabilitation to get them back for fall? Or do you think they've kind of lost this last year?
Well, I think that if they work on the foundational skills, like if they're doing a brain lab and they're working on visual processing speed and attention and working memory and all of those kinds of things, it takes 20 to 30 hours to retrain the brain. So yes, we could get them up to speed. If you think of it again, like an athlete, athletes take the summer and they work on their fundamental skills, and then they start in the season. So yes, I think a summer would be enough if they're in the right programs and parents are paying attention to exactly what they need.
Well, Dr. Tere Linzey, I so appreciate your expertise in this. And I know the parents that are watching are definitely paying attention to what you have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.